Kev. Kev just cracked me up. Yes, Kev, we're live. Going live in about 2 minutes, Kev. You okay? Just waiting to see who's going to appear. First one, 2. Manny. Kev, how are you? Just waiting for others to join. About 2 minutes, Kev, man. And then we're off. Manny's on the subject of money. Money. I'm not even going to talk about the England game. We are, but that will start to come into play later in the conversation. So give about another minute and then we will kick off. Ash, what's happening? Fine, mate. Start of the footy season today. A nice 1-3-1 win. Don's with us. Don, how are you? Don's with us. Lorraine. About another 30 seconds and then we shall kick off. Ash is all good. Well, tonight's subject is on the subject of money. And it's come up because of obviously the Premier League. Lou, how are you? It's come up because of the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two this week made record-breaking money. Was the advice good, Kev? Was the advice good, Kev? Somebody just tried to call my phone then, so it just went a little bit funny. Good. And that's all these talks are for, really. They are, they're not facts. They're opinions that people ask me to speak about. Opinions that are matched up with my beliefs, my faith, and obviously the knowledge that I have, particularly around football issues. So Danny says, lend us a tenner, Magic. Give me a address and I'll post it through to you. Okay. Refs. Okay. So this week's subject, and before I go into this week's subject, subjects have been really good. We spoke about heart versus mind, youth crime, Islamophobia, what else? Love. We spoke about a whole heap of subjects, addictions. And what I love about it is that people go off after the conversations have closed down, make new friends, new networks, and they go and do things about whatever we speak about. And obviously not everybody says it's the correct thing, but it's great that debates are ongoing, evening Reese. And that's what we want to do, is just stimulate debate, topics, anything that would help one or two people that may be struggling. And that's all we're trying to do, is just help. So, tonight's subject, money. This week saw record-breaking amounts obviously go through football, which was astonishing. £1.3 billion. Say that again. £1.3 billion was made before the transfer window was closed, which is just unbelievable. When you consider that there is 1,000 millions to make 1 billion. That's a lot of money. So just some stats before we break that down. So 3.2 billion watched the FIFA World Cup 2014. 3.2 billion. In comparison to that, there was 30 million that watched the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. 35 million watched Usain Bolt racing the Olympic 100 meters this year. 114 million watched the Super Bowl. 114 million watched the Super Bowl. But 3.2 billion watched the FIFA 2014 World Cup. 180 million watched the Champions League final. 30 million watched the NBA finals. So I think that everybody would agree that football is king when it comes to sport. On a financial leveling, football is king. 1.3 million was raised. Not raised, was spent this week. It's just unbelievable. Where is that money coming from? We're coming to that, Jace. Where is the money coming from? It's coming from me and you. We're all subscribing to Sky Sports. We're all fascinated by what we see on Sky Sports, and we're all paying our subscriptions. Could you imagine the amount of houses worldwide which are now subscribing through their sports packages and paying astronomical amounts just to see the best players, in our opinion, play in this lovely league of ours called the Premier League? Brenda, how are you? I'm good, my Christian friend. Always good with my cup of coffee. So the money's coming from us, basically, on a worldwide level. I don't think you could walk anywhere on any street in England and you don't see a satellite dish. They're all over the place. And predominantly a majority of them have got Sky Sports. The TV rights deal for the Premier League is 5.1 million. What did he say, John? The TV rights for the Premier League is 5.1 billion. This is paid from Sky and BT. So the Premier League are going to receive 5.1 billion. Thank you very much, from Sky and BT. Sky and BT then have the rights to go and screen majority of the games from the leagues, especially the Premier League, into our homes. This is going to be happening for the next 3 seasons. So this is why a lot of managers have lost jobs, especially in the Premier League, Championship, because the pressure. Jack, what's going on? Hello, Jeanette. Mrs. J, I need to speak to you one day this week. Lauren, how are you? So this is for the next 3 seasons. It's a 70% increase up from last season. Sky, out of the 5.1 billion, have paid 4.2 million to show the majority of the TV games that we watch. Over 200 million went to the championship. So the money is ridiculous. The pressure now is on for the big boys to stay in the Champions League to get more money again for entering the top 4 spots. Managers want to rebuild, reshape the whole team, but some managers may not get time. So the pressure on managers right now to make sure that A, stay in the Premier League, or B, get into the Premier League has never ever been bigger than what it is now. But the question I want to ask is the money killing the game? Or do you think it's attracting big names and big players and big managers to our shores? Now, there's no lying that we've had some fantastic talent in our leagues. Look at Thierry Henry, we look at people like Canu, Gianfranco Zola, Emmanuel Petit, Suarez. there is some great foreign talent that have graced our shores. But this has pushed English players further down the pecking order. If you look at the top four teams now, especially in the Premier League, you would struggle to probably see 4 or 5 players playing. If you look at the managers who are operating our Premier League, there's not many English. I think there's 3 or 4. Even watching the England game tonight, we have an England manager who I really admire, but let's be honest, he's an England manager, and where was West Ham? We've not got an English manager who's finished inside the top 10 of the Premier League, I believe. So these are the kind of things what are happening in our main league. However, we have fantastic talent. We have some fantastic creative football. But I think it's at the detriment to the progression of English talent. But that is not knocking anybody. I'm not saying, there's no play. Of course there is. But I think there's got to be a balance. I think the balance at the minute is not quite right. The Premier League says that it's earmarked 56 million towards grassroots projects this year. I want to know, is that enough? 56 million. So, 56 million. The Premier League have just received. Let me just get this right. I need to get this right because I don't want to hold anybody to account at the minute. £1.3 billion has been moved around in football over the last couple of weeks, stroke months. The TV rights to the Premier League have just received 5.1 billion. Yet 56 million is going to grassroots projects. Premier League have received 5.1 million. Yet 56 million is going towards grassroots projects. Is that enough? I love my coffee on a Sunday night. So is the money good for the game? That's what I want to know. So it depends where the money is going. Are our English young talent getting exposed to top flight football? Are our young managers getting exposed to tournament football? Look at Eddie Howe at Bournemouth. Everybody's talking him up as potentially the next England manager. But is he getting exposed to tournament football that will prepare him for a position like that? Do our English managers manage the best players so that they can have an understanding when they get that position how to deal and interact in amongst an elite group of players? Does this then affect the brand of football we watched? Because there's so much money at stake and the pressure is on managers to stay in the Premier League, or to get into that, do we play defensive to make sure we don't concede a goal? So is the brand of football now being diluted? Is it just about making sure we stay in that top 4? So we're in 4th spot, we're not going to go forward. We're just going to park the bus because we don't want to come out of that top 4. Or is it just about staying in a league so that we can just get our, is it 60 odd? What? Hold on. 50, is it? Hold on. Is it just about staying in the league so we can get our yearly money from Sky? Every year, the Premier League will pay each club, I think it's in the region of between 60 to 70 million. That's how much it is just to stay in the Premier League. Now that could direct a football team club's philosophy about how they play. Think about it. How does a young boy, girl, family connect with football today? How does a family connect with football today? How does a working class family connect with football and go down and watch their local team? Do you feel isolated? Do you feel it's too cooperative? It's interesting to see how the money that is filtered from the top affects everybody connected with the football club. Does your club really feel like a club? Kev said, Mark Watt, it's hard to coach when you have no ground because you can't afford it. This is also a major problem. We spoke about grassroots football, but because of the lack of funds, even though it's 56 million, which actually they get 5.1 billion, does this allow grassroots football clubs to take the hit that the local councils are putting on them because they can't, the council are now lifting up the levy. So instead of it might being £1,500 a year, that might be £2,000 to cover all the maintenance fees, the cutting of the grass, the cleaning of the facilities, drainage. The council will charge that on the local grassroots team. So the grassroots team then has to take that hit. That hit is usually then passed on to either the parents, the young footballers, or the club itself try and take the hit. But this is where some clubs actually struggle. My school friend Drift, he'll know all about this, being at Clifton Allwise. Okay. So 1.3 billion just been spent over the last few months, and yet teams are going bankrupt for a little as 56 grand. I can go better than that. I know a club that's gone bankrupt for 20 grand. A grassroots club, and this is how important grassroots clubs are. We all started from grassroots clubs. I started at Clifton Allwise. Jermaine Jenner started at Clifton Allwise. Martin Carruthers started at Parkhead. Andy Cole started at Parkhead. These are clubs in Nottingham. We have so many footballers who start at a grassroots club. The more those clubs fold, the less opportunities it is for young kids to get started. The later you get started, you are behind the times. So it's important we recognise how important grassroots football is for the state of English football. Local football is in decline. Less teams at grassroots cost due to cost. Kev says 10.5 grand made his team fold. Gaz said when Glenn Hoddle is saying we might need to look into the championship for future England players because the player pool is too small, then you know our problems. And this is what I'm saying about the Premier League. What has happened with the Premier League is a lot of our foreign product of players are coming to our shores to go and play football. Fantastic. But the balance needs to be right. So what's happening is because there's such an influence of foreign players, some for the right reasons, some love the game, some I question their reasons why. But because such an influence is coming in, it's pushing down the pyramid, the better English players who are now going into championship. Championship's now becoming swamped. So your best English young players are operating in the lower end of the championship, and probably top end League One. So everything crunches down, which makes it harder and harder for kids to come up onto the championship ladder, the League One ladder, and start to play football. Because the pressure being from the managers to go and chase that nestle egg of a 60 million in the Premier League, whatever it is in the Championship League, it's always pressure to get to the next place. Are you going to try a young, untried kid who you're not quite sure about? No. Or are you going to try a professional from abroad that would cost half the price that what this inflated market puts some of our youngsters at? So you're going to go and try somebody from overseas, cheaper. You've seen them play in their league. Why not get them across? Makes sense. That's what's happening. Thanks, Brenda. So, England team's chances of successes, and now this is about money, but I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm going to bring it back to money quite shortly. So, best English players and managers will struggle to play for the best teams. Therefore, we're lacking exposure to top flight football. So we mentioned our England manager Sam Allardyce, who I really like, got a lot of time for, but has lacked exposure to top flight football. But you give me an English manager who has exposure to top flight football. There isn't one. Because all the top flight football clubs who are playing in the Champions League, which is tournament football, so they get used to the preparation, playing against the best players in the world, are Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, which are not managed by English. And predominantly, majority of the footballers are not English. I'm not quite sure what your question is there, Ayaz. So 50% of the clubs in England's top tiers are now foreign owned. Alex Ferguson was Scottish. I gotcha. I knew that was coming. So 50% of the clubs in the top tier now are owned by a foreign owned. So all of a sudden, England are playing. Yeah, I've got a game as a chairman against, let's say, Stoke, and I'm at Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, where I'm a foreign owner. Why am I going to do English football a favour? Why is the 50% of foreign ownership who own clubs in England going to do English football a favour? They're not. You'd have to lean on their integrity, their, it just ain't gonna happen. Wolves have become the latest club to be taken over. Why would you do them? I'm earning the money that I need to 50, 60, 70 million a year. I've got my vested interest in this club to make sure we stay in the Premier League. I'm not going to rest my best players for you. I'm not going to let them miss it. No, I'm not going to buy into what the FA want. And this is what's happened with the FA and the Premier League. They've both gone their separate ways, and it really, really is a mess. Okay. 11 of the 24 championship clubs are foreign owners. 5 homegrown English managers out of 20 in the Premier League. That's what we've got in the minute. So we've got 5. We've got the ones that have just come up. Hull. Burnley just got promoted. Hull is Mike Phelan. Burnley is Sean Dyche. So they've just come up before that. We had West Brom, Mr. Pulis. Bournemouth, Eddie Howe. Big fan Eddie. And obviously Alan Pardew at Crystal Palace. So you've got 5 managers. Which one of those have got top flight experience? Which one of those are experienced at big clubs? Should they have experience? I think so. Some good managers that deserve the opportunity at big clubs, but they ain't getting it. Why? I'm the owner. Why am I going to do Alan Pardew a favour? Why? Debbie said championship players would love the chance to put on a shirt. Buys, what's going on? There's always a knock-on effect when the money's not handled right, and that's what's happening at grassroots football. The knock-on effect is massive. There's clubs which are now closing down, which is a real shame. Some good grassroots clubs closing down, which are denying kids the real chance to go and play football, enjoy football, boys and girls of different ages, just because they can't afford the fees. You look at some of the, the infrastructure around the ground, the drainage system, the changing rooms, that added on top of the subs to go and play. They just can't. They just can't do it. Q said that the money has ruined English football. I just don't see football the way that it was, and I'm not being like, oh, back in the day. No, but the money has got to a point where now we've just gone through a transfer window. It's 1.3 billion. That's some serious money, and the joke is the next one's going to be more. It can only be. It can only get worse. For me, next one's going to be probably 1.5, 1.6 billion. The money now, and in relation to what some of the clubs are getting, it's not a great deal. But when you see, Man United signing a Pogba for 89 million, it's 89 million. Now this, by the way, is money. Take out ticket sales, take out merchandise, take out match day activity. This is just TV money. So when you see some of the monies, what some of the clubs are making, it is astronomical amounts. That's why they can afford to pay a player 200, 300 grand a week. Here's a question: would you turn that money down? Somebody said to you, your workplace tomorrow, I'm giving you 50 grand a week. Would you turn it down? You ain't turning it down. Come on, let's be serious. Money is a seed of all evil. It can wreck families like it has mine. But I see you're talking about football. Carlton, I'm going to hit money now because this is what I was asked to speak about, which is money. And I've got an interesting thought about money. 1 minute. Let me just plug this in. There we go. Similar to grassroots football this week, I've been trying to get a sponsorship for basketball that runs on a shoestring budget. It gives youngsters a chance to play and play football and country. Money makes the world go round, but it's also the root of all evil. Yeah. Do you know what? I there's my stepdaughter Jess. Hi Jess. I don't have a problem with football making amounts of money that it does. I really don't. But I think what should be happening is obviously it should be definitely filtering down to the grassroots game even more. We can't be making those astronomical amounts of money, yet grassroots clubs are shutting down for 10 grand. That don't make sense. You're making, 5 billion, 50 million you're giving out, but grassroots clubs are closing down for 10 grand. And like I said to you, all these footballers started at a grassroots club. And it's not just about the ones that came through the grassroots club. It's also what the grassroots club gives to so many youngsters up and down the country. Confidence, fitness, social aspect of like integrating with people that you've never integrated before with your life. So it's a big thing when you look at the money and how it's used. And that's my point. I'm going to come back to you on when you mentioned about money's the root of all evil. It's not. But let's be honest, money, sex, and we're going to go on to money now rather than the football. We're going to switch it to money. So money for me and sex and violence is powerful plays in this world, whether we like it or not. We all value money. It can buy us gifts. It enables us to do things and to live a decent life. But money is not the root of all evil. It's not. It's the heart and the motive behind it ways. So let me give you an example. If Club X paid a certain amount into the community And I give you an example of a club that did it. Leicester last year paid for, I think it was an hospital. They brought a brand new hospital in the city centre of Leicester, which is absolutely fantastic, which will enable people to get treatment. I'm not quite sure what the ins and outs of it, but what they've done is use their funds for the goodness of their community, their local community. Now, I think that's brilliant, and that's what I'd like to see football do more, because it's such a money-making business. So that them funds should be passed on to grassroots clubs, should be passed on to the local community. And listen, I'm not saying that the clubs need to do that, but there should be some CSR, your corporate social responsibility. Aha. That in your community, that you should be doing something with the schools, with the hospitals, and just making sure some of that 60 million what each club gets can service the local community. Now, I'm not saying none of the clubs don't do that. I'm sure clubs do a fantastic job. They'll know more than me what they're doing. But when I see clubs closing for £10,000 on a regular basis, when I see clubs saying that they can't afford to pay the hike that the council have now put on them, when I see clubs who have shut down for the last 10 weeks because they can't play football because the drainage system is so rubbish, then that is something that baffles me when I see clubs making so much, when I see the game making so much. There must be something that can be done. So money's not the root of all evil. I think the heart and the motive behind it is, because if you have money and you use it wisely, it's a good thing. I'm very drunk right now and sitting and knitting. All I've seen is money. I'm not going to answer that. So money can't buy us our health. It can't stop time. Carlton says, I see your point and you're right. It's just the person mind that it is, not money. We all need it, and fair play to some football clubs that give money away. Just like Ronaldo paying for the little boys. Spot on. Okay, so what could I be? So, Rob, I don't mind you asking any questions. I'll answer this as honestly as I can. So Rob said, so I could be off course, but let me say this, not being beheaded, but money means nothing. It makes you lazy, selfish and arrogant. And that's your opinion. And nobody should question your opinion. You get money and it makes you arrogant to people. You feel you are superior. You only value money when you have it and lose it. I don't think that's right for everybody. But money means nothing. It makes you lazy, selfish and arrogant. I understand what you're trying to say. But you spot on, your family is the most important thing. And they are there to pick you up when you are down. Family is more important than money. Spot on, Rob. So money can't stop death, and we can't take that with us. Money is fine, but you need to understand who is ruling who. Don't make money your God. Some people will do anything for money, and that's when it gets a little bit scary and serious. You've got to make sure that you have your faculties and you understand that money is not, you are not driven by money. Money is not your God. Money is not the be all and end all. You should be able to still have fun and don't have nothing in your pocket. And I understand bills need to be paid. Of course I do. And I understand money does help. But money can't be the deciding factor of whether you wake up in the morning with a smile on your face. Money can't be the deciding factor of when your child's looking you in your face and your son and he's trying to play or she's trying to play with you and all you're thinking is, I ain't got no money. There's times when money has to take a back seat. Has to take a back seat. Money can't stop death, and we can't take it with us, which is very true. And like I said, money cannot be your God. I'm going to go biblically in a minute now. Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. He took the pieces of silver but couldn't live with himself when he seen what happened to Jesus. So he hung himself. And I asked the question, are people doing things for money that they shouldn't be doing? Are you selling out? Have you sold out? There is nothing wrong with wealth. And I believe if you are wealthy and you're blessed to be wealthy, then if you can pass that wealth on, not all, but you can share it with some of the charity, or you share it with some of your family that are less fortunate, then do it. That's why I believe the real blessing is in when you're wealthy. Money is a blessing. Let's get this right. We all enjoy what money brings, but it can't be your God. It can't be a position where that's all you think about. It can't be where you're selling yourself to get money. It can't be where you're doing things, you're stealing, you're robbing to do things to gain money. Rob, you make me laugh. You can't be engaged in criminal activity. Your life and your freedom is worth much more than that. I'm sure it is. So I always say to my children, they'll say, "Oh, Dad, look at that house or look at that car," and I always try and feed back. If you want a house like that, if you want a car like that, then guess what you have to do? And it all goes back to educating yourself, or if you've got something that you love, which is art, drama, sport, then you try and practice as much as you can at it. Because when you get qualified in that education, whether it's maths, and you pass, but in order to pass, you've got to be able to listen. In order to listen, that must mean you behave yourself, you don't mix with your friends, because when you listen, you get an understanding of the subject, and if you continue to practice that subject through the understanding that you get good exam results. When you leave school, you get a chance to get a bigger and better job because you've started to listen. So there's lots of things in the triangle that make you a success. But rather than focus on the money, focus on those little issues, building blocks, that enable you to come out of school and have choices. Choices. So that's how we should encourage our youth. When they start talking about money, houses, cars, what did that person do? If it's art, if it's drama, if it's sport, then encourage the child. You might want to be practicing, because the more you practice, the better you become. The better you become, the more likely somebody might go, I like that person who's playing that guitar. I like that runner. I like that singer. You don't practice, you don't get spotted. You don't get spotted, you stay in that little shell. And I think so many people want the end game, but are not prepared to put in the hard work to do it. It may be tough, but it'll be worth it in the end. So focus on the things that you can do, and the rest, I'd like to think, will come. When I used to play football, I focused on training really hard, knowing that the harder I trained, the more likely is that I'm going to have a better game on the Saturday. I didn't focus on the Saturday because then I'd have took my eye off the prize in the week. So day to day, religious encounter, being the best that you can in your chosen field, whether that's maths, English, biology, football, arts, singing, dancing, whatever you focus on, being the best that you possibly can be, to be able to enable you to possibly achieve what you can achieve. That's what I would say. So whilst you are here, go and create your own. Thanks, Carlton. Appreciate that. Whilst you are here, go and create your own. Don't rely on anybody else. Don't take anybody else's stuff. It's not yours to take. Rob, you never offend. Come on. You never offend, Rob. I love you, pal. So don't worry about that. Just hope you're not drinking too much alcohol. So you want to see your kids enjoy. You want to see, kids enjoy you as a person. I know some dads are like paychecks, banks, but some kids just want to see the heart of a parent, the heart of a grandparent, the heart of a brother, the heart of a sister, the heart of the auntie or the uncle. Rather than think it's just about money, money. If you have that sort of wealth, some kids just want to see you, want to spend time with you, want to connect to you. Jimmy, what's happening? So they want to feel closer to you. I've seen people that just constantly pay for children to go there, here, there. But with all that money, there's something missing. There's that little something missing, and it's you. The child wants to see your heart. The nephew wants to see you. Your niece wants to see you. Spend time with you. Okay, Buys. So Buys used to be my Jamaican team partner when we used to play for Jamaica. How about when players leave their grassroots clubs and go to professional clubs? Why don't the grassroots club get money from the professional clubs for a certain amount of games that those players play in the first team? Spies, you spot on. I say, yeah. So what Buys is saying is that when some of these grassroots clubs, okay, let's break it down again. So grassroots clubs, we've all started at grassroots clubs, Byfield, myself and others. When you leave the grassroots club, so you might have had 7-8 years training there, how can, and this is the way it gets nasty, right? So the grassroots club, they take the player. There's no compensation or anything offered to the grassroots club. So you've been there for 7 or 8 years, you're 15 years old, you then go to, let's pick a team, Middlesbrough. Don't know why I said Middlesbrough. You then go to Middlesbrough. So you've been at your grassroots club for 8 years, Middlesbrough would take you at 15, at 18, Middlesbrough then decide they received an offer for 5 million from you. They sell you for 5 million. Middlesbrough then pocket the 5 million. Then how is it that you've been at Middlesbrough for 3 years, 15 to 18, but then you've been at the grassroots clubs from, say, 7, 6, 8 years old for the last 7, 8 years, but the grassroots club gets nothing. Now here's the kick. When Middlesbrough sell you, they sell you on with a sell-on clause, which means if you've gone from Middlesbrough to Liverpool, and then Liverpool then decide to sell you 6 years later, that triggers a percent back to Middlesbrough. So Middlesbrough might say, okay, look, Liverpool, we'll sell you in for 5 million. He's 18 years old. When you sell him in the future, we are due a 10% sell-on fee. Now, professional clubs have this in, but how can grassroots club, and I think that's what you're alluding to, Buys, how can grassroots clubs not benefit from that? If it was just 1%, do you know how much 1% would make a difference in a grassroots club? My word. Could you imagine what 1%? I'm trying to think of somebody. Okay, no, that's not a good example. Bai said I explained it perfectly. Thanks, but you're spot on. It is unbelievable how nothing goes back into the grassroots club, and you might have worked with a player for years. There's got to be a connection between the game, because the game looks down as grassroots as possibly. It's nothing. Grassroots is vitally important. We all can. Do you know the amount of players which are now playing in the Championship, in the Premier League, which have been at non-league club? I went to watch Notts County Grimsby on Saturday. There was a guy by the name of Bogle. I think it was, I'm not sure what his first name was. I was going to say Paul Bogle, but I'm not sure what his first name was for Grimsby. Oh my word. Didn't know where it came from. I said to somebody that I know, Martin O'Connor, my word, this player here can play at a higher level. Martin said to me, you do realise he came from Solihull Moors. Now, he's at Grimsby. If Grimsby pocket an amount for this boy, Omar Bogle, if Grimsby pocket an amount for this boy, then how much do Solihull Moors get back? That's your boy buys. I'm telling you now, he was awesome. But how much do Solihull Moors get back if Grimsby sell him? That is the problem. So I keep going away from this money thing, taking me away back into football. So money in the wrong hands is dangerous. Money in someone's hands who's mature, who's not mature, is dangerous. You put anything that is powerful into the wrong hands, it's a problem. You give power to, and money is deemed as something that's powerful, into the wrong hands, it is a problem. So many artists are now selling out their souls because of money. So many people don't value their bodies and end up selling themselves. Well, I want to say to some of you who might have sold yourself or know people that are selling yourselves, that you are a priceless commodity. You are wonderfully and fearfully made in the image of God. You are a priceless commodity, and don't let nobody talk down to you. Don't let nobody tell you you're not worth anything. Don't let nobody try and knock your confidence. I'm here to telling you that you are valuable, you are somebody, and you will achieve great things. And that's what you should be saying to your children, niece, nephew, whoever it may be. Don't let anybody beat it out of them that they are a worthless piece of. Oh no. They are priceless. Your child, your son, your daughter is priceless. Priceless. A commodity. Gets me that one, by the way. When I hear people talk about certain other people in a derogatory way. He's somebody's child. And by the way, you are somebody's child. I'll have to have this conversation because I'm not following your conversation, Carlton, but I'm hearing you. What you meant to do if it is your father then? I'm not sure what you are trying to say there, Carlton. My child asked me to go camping last year, and it wasn't about money. It was just about dad and son time. Camping didn't cost not much. It was just to pay for the campsite, but it wasn't about finding the fees to get on an aeroplane and then hotel and then no. All it was he wanted to go camping. We got a couple of tins of food, had some crisp and bread and toast and egg, and proper did the camping thing for a weekend. If you ask him now and he's 12, that's his best holiday he's ever had. Why? Because it was father-son time. So it's not always about the money. It's about spending quality time. Yeah, Sam, I love the way that you word that. You've got to create your own memories, create lifetime memories. Regardless of whether I disappear tomorrow off the face of the earth, which I hope not, but my son has a lasting memory of his dad camping, making tins of beans, fooling around, jumping in a sleeping bag, and me and him doing the father-son where we talked all night until we fell asleep. It is great. We can talk, Carlton, because if I can help, or if somebody can help you, that's what this is all about. And this is why these talks are so important, is that it always feels like there's somebody somewhere struggling with some issues of life. And, you know, it's great that certain people reach out, because people are reaching out on these forums. And it's great to see men, women have the strength of mind to say, there's something that I really need help with. And I hope this group of people that are on this chat line, this chat forum, will reach out and help this young man, Carlton, who is struggling with certain things. And it's big. Money is a problem. Yeah, every love requires relationship time. Just refuse to let your enjoyment depend on money. It costs nothing. Do you know how much time when I've smiled and people have engaged in conversation just because of a smile? It costs nothing. You have a choice tomorrow morning how you wake up, regardless of your situation. You can let your situation own you, or you can own it. I'm telling you. Full stop. Of course, I understand money is important. We need to pay bills. We want a nice life. But there's some fundamental things that money can't get. That is the relationship between you and your loved ones. Whether you got 10 million in the bank or whether you got 10p in your bank, you can make that relationship strong, or you can make it weak. Are you dependent on money to keep you happy? Or no matter what circumstances life throws at you, you're on this happy turn with your family, with your children. Every day you have a choice to make. And if you do have it, help others that are less fortunate than you. That might be time, that might be food, and that might be a little bit to a charity or somebody who's in your family who could benefit from it. Time is more valuable than money. You can't buy time, and it's what you do with it. When the people closer to you pass, you don't say, I wish I had. Spot on, Rob. Never a word spoken in jest. Sam says this had cheered me up today. Thank you. Sam, love to you and the family. So that's wrapped it up on the money side of things. So Kevin says, when you came to our club and the players had a chance to have a picture with you, that was worth more than money that day by the look on their faces. And that's great. Honestly, that's great to hear. Just one moment of kindness can just, change somebody's perception, somebody's day, somebody's course of life to take in, just by showing you care. And that's what I'd wish for English football. Listen, I'm a product of English football. I love English football. The money what's being made right now is scary. All we're saying is that, there should be a greater spread of the finances towards grassroots. Somebody needs to come in the areas, basically. Somebody needs to come down to ground zero. Instead of, being up there somewhere, need to come down to ground zero and see what's really happening. What's really happening on the streets, how you can make a difference. How I believe that 5 billion, 5.1 billion actually, 50 million ain't cutting it. I love that. Rob's locked in on his family holiday instead of spending time with the missus. Get to your wife. I don't want your wife phoning or texting me, telling me I'm to blame for a certain, you know what I'm saying? So you need to get to your wife. That's it. Money comes and money goes. It's so true. Pictures, memories are what stays with you for life. You can't change them. If somebody said to me about money, somebody said about the memories I have of my life, even my friend Bies, who's on here tonight, I've got some amazing memories. It's not around money. It's around the fun time we shared in Jamaica together, which I will take with me to my grave. Amazing times. Birmingham fans. It's not about money. Some of the great times I've spent with you Birmingham fans, whether that was when we played Liverpool, when we played Norwich, when beat Arsenal in the final. Derby fans is the same. Got promoted in '07. When we beat Southampton in the semi-final, we beat Forest in the Notts County, my debut. There's so many memories in my life around good times, fun, enjoyment. Not one is around money. And some of the fondest memories was when I was a child, when I had nothing. So it's not all about money. It's about you creating the memories. And we'll go back to the English football now. I really don't know where we go. I really don't know where we go. I just know that the money in the game has never been like money's been in a game before. And I just hope that it gets used in the correct format for grassroots football, for the goodness of this country, our children, and the future England team, who, by the way, today got a good win. Wasn't great, but hey, Sam's off and running. Hopefully, the longer he gets, the more time he can embed his ways, philosophies of playing football. So, without further ado, one more thing to say is I wish all the kids who are going back to school this week a safe trip back into your schools, whether you're just starting at school like my son is, or whether you've just gone up to the next year. I hope it's prosperous. I hope that you get educated, just like what we said. I hope that if it's sport, drama, or business, whatever it is, you excel in school. That is the way to true wealth. Is to start step at a step, at step at a step, at a step at a step, and keep building and building. And eventually you'll get to a place where you will be inundated with offers. And that is the first sign of you getting on the wealth ladder. Instead of some of us focusing over there, and we take our eye off what is needed to get there. So I wish you all a safe week back at school. Parents like myself, 6 weeks, I think I need another holiday. God bless you all and have a great week.